Hello everybody, welcome to this video. I hope you're all doing well. Just a quick apology before we start if you can hear any weird buzzing or whirring noises. It's a nice day outside, so everyone who's alive in the local vicinity has decided to get the lawnmower out and start buzzing the lawns. So yeah, if you can hear that then apologies. I'll try and speak over it when I can, but believe me, it's just as annoying here as it is where you are. But yeah, today, on a separate note, is going to be another horror Blu-ray and DVD update. And I'm pretty impressed with the stuff I've got to show off today. There's a nice selection. I've got one DVD, so I'll show that off first. And then a stack of 10 Blu-rays, if I'm counting quickly. Might be 11, 10 I'll say. But yeah, there's a good selection in here. There's some old films, some new films, there's some Arrow stuff, there's some 88 Films stuff. So hopefully there should be something for everyone. And there's one particular film in here that I want your comments on if you've seen it. So let me know, I'll let you know when I get to it. But we'll start off with the DVD first. Yeah, it's shocking that I hadn't seen this up until recently, but this is a horror classic. It's down, you know, in every book and every list where, you know, horror films you must see before you die sort of thing. And my dad managed to get hold of it on DVD. We watched it the other week. This is The Haunting from 1963, I think it says. Yep. Yeah, on the back there, 1963. It's a really strange film. It's one of those that's, you know, like I say, it's on every list of horror films you need to see. And it's really ahead of its time. I was really impressed with it. You know, the story isn't anything groundbreaking or anything. It's sort of like a haunted house and a girl gets sort of drawn into it all. And yeah, it's ahead of its time in terms of its cinematography, and it's quite intense for a film from 1963. You know, before the 60s, like Psycho was when horror became modern for me. After that, before this, haunted house stories were always sort of really subtle and, you know, creepy, and there was some humour in it, but yeah, this is sort of where modern haunted house films started, I would say, because, you know, it is set in the modern day of 1963. And yeah, it's surprisingly intense and creepy for 1963. I don't know if it's worth the hype yet. I'm going to have to watch it a few more times to sort of fully grasp what was going on, because the ending is it's a pretty downer ending. You tend to find with older films that the ending's a bit more upbeat, I find, but no, this went for it, and I think it worked. But there's a few more things that I would probably benefit from, you know, watching it again a couple more times. But I really enjoyed it when I watched it, so I'm glad that Dad managed to find it on DVD, and thanks to him I now own it. So that is a Robert Wise production of The Haunting, and I should hopefully be seeing the sort of semi-sequel, The Legend of Hell House, I think it's called, pretty soon. So let me know if you've seen that. Straight onto the Blu-rays now, just as the lawnmowers get close again. Yeah, we're going to start off with 88 films, because there's 2 of the Italian collection, then there's a couple of newish films, and then there's 6 Arrow ones to show off, so I've left them till the end, because they tend to be the most interesting of the bunch. Yeah, so we're on to 88 films. This is the Italian collection, number 7 of the Italian collection, released in 1980. And this is Anthropophagus, also known as the Savage Island, also known as Anthropophagus the Beast, also known as the Grim Reaper, millions of other titles. This is a really weird film because it's one of those films that is bad, but I have a soft spot for it. You know, it's enjoyable enough for what it is. It was, you know, it's Italian exploitation, really. A group of tourists go to I think it's a Greek island, to find it completely deserted except for one man, and he is the Anthropophagus, and he picks them off one by one. Yeah, I like this film. You know, it's a lot of people don't like it. I do quite like it. As you can see there, number 7 in the Italian collection on 88 films. Just quickly open this up. Nothing too spectacular in here. That's the disc, which is quite a creepy image. The alternate artwork is much better than the artwork I've chosen. I'll just quickly show it off through the case. There, as you can see, that's is his name Nikos? I think it is. But yeah, that's Anthropophagus man on the beach chomping on his own guts. And the artwork on that is so much better. This is the remastered special edition, by the way, as it says across the top. But the only annoying thing is it doesn't have the Italian collection white border down the side and that, as you can see there. And that really bugs me, so I've had to, for my own well-being, choose this, because otherwise it would really, really bug me. But that's still a cool front cover, I would say. Me and Dad watched this, and the picture quality is very good. It's not the best looking Blu-ray I've ever seen, but it is pretty good. Bonus features, you've got all the usual stuff with Blu-rays, colour correction, etc. A never before seen deleted scene. You have an interview with George Eastman. You've got a film historian Alessio De Rocco featurette, Italian opening and closing credits, theatrical trailers, and the reversible sleeve. So yeah, it's not the most extensive Blu-ray package, but you know, for what I need, I'd say it's a pretty worthwhile buy. That's Anthropophagus. And skipping ahead a bit in the Italian collection now, this is number 35, also from 1980. Zombie Creeping Flesh. Again, this is another one where it's not, production-wise and technically, it's not a very good film, but it's fun. You know, it's one of those where I can forgive its sins just because it's a bit of fun. It's a Dawn of the Dead rip-off done in Italy, so, you know, the gore is ramped up and there's breasts left and right. And I enjoyed it. It's silly, but I thought it was quite fun. At the back there, I'll read out special features. As again, the usual stuff, soundtrack, an interview with star Margie Newton, Hell on Earth, a 2017 interview with writer Claudio Fragasso, theatrical trailer, reversible sleeve, etc. Again, nothing too special about this. This is just the disc. They all come on this cool green disc. Other artwork, again, is much cooler, but it doesn't have the Italian collection. Oh, it does have the Italian collection board around it. Ooh, maybe I'll change that then. But yeah, apparently this was also known as Virus. I didn't know that, but that is an awesome cover. A little bit better than that one, I would say, so I might actually change that over. Yeah. But yeah, Zombie Creeping Flesh. If you like Dawn of the Dead, then you'll probably like it, but you know, it's one of those where you've just got to accept that it was made on a small budget and it's a bit of fun. It's not meant to be ultra scary or anything. So yeah, Zombie Creeping Flesh. Also nicks the font from Zombie Flesh Eaters, which bugs me when it's sat next to it on my shelf. Right, so that's the 88 films Italian collection out of the way. We'll move on to the two newer films now. If you want my comments on the film, this'll be the clearest, because I literally watched this last night for the first time. Sinister 2. Of the recent franchises, and I don't want to call Sinister a franchise because it's only 2 films, and fingers crossed it stays that way. But of the recent franchises, you know, like The Conjuring and Annabelle, things like that, Sinister is probably my favourite. The original one was unique and quite scary and disturbing, so props to it for not just being another haunted house film. Sinister 2, it's been out for a while, but I hadn't seen it up until last night, and it isn't as good as the first one. It's alright, but it's, I don't know, it just has the vibe of, oh, the first one did well, let's make a second one. And again, it does that annoying thing where it leaves the ending open for a sequel, even though it would have been a much better film had they just left that final scene off. Yeah, it's alright. If you like the first one, you'll probably enjoy it, but it's not as good as the first one. Package isn't particularly interesting, just the disc. So yeah, it's alright, you know, it's the usual stuff, jump scares and things like that. But it's average, you know. Sinister 2, if you like the first one, you'll probably like that. And the next one needs no introduction whatsoever. I could literally just show this and then put it away. This is 2017 It, which I really wish they'd ditch this minimalist artwork. I really think that's crap. But yeah, It is it's one of the most successful horror movies of all time, I believe. Package isn't too interesting, it's just a blue disc. But my thoughts on this, compared with the 1990 miniseries original, this, on a technical level, is a better film, and it's a much better adaptation of the book, but it just felt too sort of moulded into sort of the standard horror format for me. Sort of, you know, just jump scares and things like that, when the original didn't have to rely on that. In a way, I think the limitations that the original 1990 miniseries had helped it in a way. Because it had to be made for TV, so they couldn't show too much violence, you know, and things like that, so they had to find other ways for things to be creepy. And while it doesn't stand up very well today, I still think it's, I still prefer it to this. This is better, but I prefer the other one. And yeah, I think Tim Curry's a better Pennywise than Bill Skarsgård, but I'm glad he did something original with it. I'm glad he made the character his own and didn't try and be Tim Curry. As well, in this, the kids are horrible. Like, I really don't like the kids in this. In the original, I could relate to the kids a bit more, but in this, they're just sweary and bastardised for the most part. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it. It's alright. So that's 2017 It. Did come with a slipcase, but I've put it somewhere. And I've lost it. So, this is the main event. I've got 6 Arrow Blu-rays to show off. The first one is the only one that I haven't seen, and I bought it off someone's recommendation. So if you've seen this, let me know what it's like. The rest are in a sort of random order, but we'll start off with Blood Rage. Now, this is an 80s slasher film. It was filmed in 1983 but not released until 1987, I believe. And it has something to do with a murder at a drive-in cinema. That is as much as I know about this. Someone recommended it to me knowing that I like 80s slashers. You know, they said, oh, it's fun enough, it's got gore and things like that in it. So yeah, if you've seen this, please let me know what it's like, because obviously I can't really say much about it now. Package is nice though. That's the original artwork. I think I'll show the new one. Special edition contents, I'm not going to read it all. The Arrow ones have absolutely loads on, so if you want to pause that and read it, if you can. It's not cranberry sauce. I don't know, I haven't seen it, I don't know what that's a reference to. It's a nice dual edition thing though. You've got your Blu Ray and your DVD, which I always like because you don't always know you're going to have a Blu Ray player if you're going somewhere. The new artwork, I believe this is the new artwork. That might be the new artwork. I don't know, I'm not familiar with this film. I think that's the new artwork. I don't think it's as good as the one I've got on show at the minute, so I've opted for that one. But yeah, I mean, from what I know, it should be my sort of thing. I do enjoy my 80s slashers. Dad says he's seen it and he said it's not fantastic, but it's alright. So if you've seen this, let me know what you think. I know it's somewhat of a cult classic, and I've got no idea why it was sort of sitting around for 4 years, unreleased. But there we go, that's Blood Rage. Not really a lot I can say on that one. The rest of these I have seen, so I will talk a bit more about the films themselves. Next up is Madman, classic 80s slasher again. This is from 1980, I think. It might be 81. Does it say on the back? It does not. I'm going to say 80. But yeah, classic story of Madman Mars, which I believe they had some trouble marketing this film against the next film I'm going to show off, because they were released pretty much at the same time and there's a lot of similarities between them. But yeah, it's not the scariest thing in the universe. It's not like Friday the 13th or anything like that. It's low budget stuff and it's fun. You know, that's what you want from these films really. It's fun enough. And yeah, there's some pretty effective moments in it actually. That's all the special edition features on the back. This isn't a dual edition, this is just your Blu Ray. And I was so tempted to change the artwork to the original. And the reason for this is, in my old bedroom at my dad's house, there was sort of like, I don't know what you call it, like an airing cupboard sort of thing. And that's where Dad would keep all his VHS tapes. And he had a VHS tape of Madman with that artwork on the front. And it always used to freak me out. I don't know if I've told him this. But yeah, every time I had to go in that cupboard, it always used to freak me out. So I try not to look at it. But yeah, I always found it very alluring. And yeah, I'm glad I like this film. So that's Madman. Originally meant to be based on the urban legend Cropsey, but couldn't be because this film was instead, and it came out before it. This is The Burning, another 80s slasher. We're heavy on the slashers today. And yeah, this was 1980 as well. I think it came out pretty quickly after Friday the 13th, and this came out pretty close to Madman. So there was three sort of similar-ish films all released at the same time. And yeah, this is based on Cropsey. A prank on the caretaker goes wrong and it leaves him with horrible burns. And yeah, he comes back to the camp to take revenge on the teens there. But why those teens, you ask? Well, it all becomes clear when you watch it. It's definitely one of the more likeable 80s slashers. The characters are all pretty likeable, which is unique for an 80s slasher film. And there's some big names behind this as well. There's a few screen actors making their debuts who went on to do big things. Tom Savini did the effects. The Weinstein/Weinstein, I don't know how you say it, the brothers Weinstein started off making this film. And yeah, the soundtrack as well was... Oh, who did the soundtrack? It's gone. But yeah, a famous man did the soundtrack. I'll see if it's on the back somewhere. Rick Wakeman did the very synthy soundtrack to this. That's your special features on the back there. Of particular interest to me is the Tom Savini featurette talking about the special effects, because the special effects in this film are very good. Dual edition again, you've got your Blu Ray and your DVD alongside this hefty little booklet. Nice artwork as well. I have to say that artwork is some of my favourite Arrow artwork. Creepy image on the back there. As with all these booklets, it's usually sort of half stills from the film and half information about it. They're never particularly in-depth or anything, but it's nice to have. So that's good to go with that. And just quickly to show off the alternative artwork. I say alternative, this is the original artwork, the one I've chosen is the alternative. That's pretty cool artwork, I think, but I mean, you can't beat that. That's just fantastic. Very aesthetically pleasing. They always get really good artwork on these releases, so that's nice to see. So that is The Burning. Very similar to Friday the 13th in a way. So if you like your slashers, you'll almost definitely like this one. 3 left now. Next one is probably the most infamous film that I own, possibly, especially in the UK. The VHS cover of this film pretty much started the whole video nasties thing, and you can see why. That isn't a particularly nice image, but yeah, this is The Driller Killer, which is a very bizarre film. It's sort of like a grimy New York drama that has very strong slasher elements in it, you know. And yeah, it's often sort of mistaken for this really ultra gory slasher, and it's not really. There's some moments like that in it, but there's more to it than that, and it's a pretty cool film. It's not one of my favourites, but it's decent. That's all the special features there on the back. There's some stuff with Abel Ferrara, which I will be watching. And again, this is pretty hefty because it comes with the Blu Ray, the DVD, and the booklet, which has very cool front page. That's actually the opening frame of the film, I believe. That pops up before the film kicks in. But again, stills and information and things like that. It's a very strange film. I'm quite interested to see what this looks like on Blu Ray, because it was made to be gritty, if you know what I mean. So hopefully they've kept some of that New York grit and not made it too shiny. Alternative artwork there is incredible, and I really wish I could have that on display, but I just can't. I can't forgive that. That's such a cool image. So yeah, the original wins on this occasion. So yeah, The Driller Killer, it's sort of a 50-50 as to whether you like it or not. If you're expecting a sort of bloodbath, despite what the advertising says, then I'd say maybe don't go into this film expecting a bloodbath. It's sort of like a character study drama with a bit of this thrown in at the end. It's an interesting film, and yeah, it was Abel Ferrara's directorial debut that wasn't pornography, so that's nice. That's The Driller Killer. Where are we at? Right. My friend Jack is going to be over the moon with this, and he already knows I've got this. So, Jack, if you're watching, this is for you. It's not, it's for me. This is Videodrome, which is one of Jack's all-time favourite movies. And it's a very strange one. It's David Cronenberg in the 80s with James Woods and Debbie Harry. There's a TV channel called Videodrome, which basically broadcasts non-stop torture porn, and it sort of delves into all that nastiness. And it's a very odd film. It's very artsy. It's very Cronenberg. Very cool artwork as well on the front there. My dad really doesn't like this film. He doesn't see the appeal of it, so I'm sure Jack will comment in the comments and let him know why he's wrong. Yeah, that's the disc there. No booklet with this one, and it's just the Blu Ray original artwork. I always thought that artwork was a bit crap, to be honest, but that's the original artwork, so I've obviously gone for this. Loads of special features on this. That takes up more room than the actual description of the film on the back, but I hope you can see that. I can't really tell, but yeah, there you go. There'll be some interesting stuff on here because it's a really interesting movie, and again, it's sort of 50-50 as to whether you like it or not. It's one of those films that you definitely need to watch a few times to pick everything up and to appreciate it, I think. So I'll probably be watching this relatively soon. I've watched it once before and I quite enjoyed it. A few things that I didn't quite guess that I'll probably have to pick up on the second or third watch. But I think my dad is done with this film. I think he's watched it once too many times and he's just kind of decided he doesn't like it, which is fair dues. Jack, will you stop anger typing in the comments? I can hear you from here. But yeah, that's the Arrow release of Videodrome, so no doubt that will look fantastic. And the final film to show off is one that I've left to last on purpose, because I actually want to talk about this film a little bit. I remember watching this film a few years ago with my mum, and I thought it was alright. It wasn't spectacular or anything, I thought it was alright. And then Arrow had a sale, and my wallet always trembles when that happens, but Arrow had a sale, and I looked on the website, and this one was going particularly cheap for some reason. Not mega cheap, but you know, cheap for an Arrow Blu-ray. And I thought, you know what, I remember it being alright, I'll pick it up. So I did. and it is Deranged, The Confessions of a Necrophile. And first off, this is heavy. This has got some heft to it, and I shall show you why in a second. But yeah, I watched this a few years ago, remember it being alright, and then whenever I go around to my dad's, I always pick out a few films to take with us. And I picked this one out. I sort of said, you know, I remember it being alright. We watched it and we were blown away by how good it was. It's a strange film. I seem to have said that about a lot of these, but this is a really strange film. Made in 1974, starring Robert Blossom, who might be more well known as the shovel guy from Home Alone. And he plays Ezra Cobb, who is a sort of, not a caricature in the sort of big nose sense, but, you know, a caricature of Ed Gein. And it's based on that. And I know, you know, they say that Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho and Silence of the Lambs and that were all based on Ed Gein. This was as well, and apparently, barring documentaries, this is pretty much as close as a feature film has come to showing what he did. You know, like, Texas Chainsaw is based on Ed Gein, but he never chased people down a street with a chainsaw, you know. But yeah, this is a really quite unsettling film, and Robert Blossom was cast perfectly to play this. It's not a slasher. It's got slasher elements in it, but it's more of a sort of biography almost. You know, as with any film, it'll twist history a little bit to make it a bit more theatrical, but everything about this is creepy. The music is this sort of creepy organ church music that works really well. The special effects done by Tom Savini are really good. And it's done in a strange sort of semi-documentary style where it opens up with a narrator, presenter person talking to you, cuts into the film, and then occasionally this presenter will sort of wander back and talk to you for a bit and then wander off. And a lot of people don't like that, but I thought it worked really well for this film. Pretty Sally Mae died a very unnatural death. Special features on here are numerous. There's an audio commentary with Tom Savini, and to be honest with the audio commentary, I wasn't that happy with it, because they seemed to talk about every other film that Tom Savini's worked on, barring this. And part of me thinks that's maybe because he maybe doesn't remember working on it, I don't know. Dual edition again, you've got your Blu Ray and your DVD. The reason this is so hefty is because it comes with a booklet, but if I just drop this in front of you, that's got some heft to it. How many pages have we got? There are 39 pages in this book. It's not just a little pamphlet leaflet thing. You can pretty much see, there's a lot of screenshots and things in here, but you can see how much writing and information there is on this film. And it's got some really interesting history going on. It's made by the same people, or a lot of the same people, who did Black Christmas and Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things and Death Dream. And I tell you what, those people knew how to make a creepy film, because they went from this in '74 straight onto Black Christmas, which is, again, one of my favourite horror films, and it's really unsettling. Other artwork I'll quickly show off. It isn't great in my opinion, so I've chosen the new one, but there you go. Deranged, The Confessions of a Necrophile. I don't really know how to advertise this film, because it won't be for everyone. That weird documentary style thing it does is a bit weird. But overall, I'd say this is a pretty unsettling film, which, you know, if you forgive its sins, you know, for its low budget and things like that, then I think there's a really good film in this. So if you haven't seen this, or indeed any of these films, because they're all really good, then go and watch it, and also make sure you let me know what Blood Rage is like if you decide to go and watch that. So that's Confessions of a Necrophile, Deranged, and that's it. Thus concludes my pile of Blu-rays and DVDs for this month. Seems to be like every month I make one of these. But yeah, like I say, let me know what you think of these films if you've seen them, especially Blood Rage, because I'm interested to see what the general consensus is. And yeah, let me know what you think of the Blu-rays and everything that I've bought. So, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in the future with another video. Probably, possibly. Goodbye.